I was down in Busselton on a quick family trip with my wife and daughter. I wasn't able to get out early in the morning for a flick, so I tried to sneak out about just before lunch. I initially started for some skippy, but as you can see the water is absolutely filthy. So I quickly changed up. I only had about an hour up my sleeve before we had to go on to Dunsborough, so I had to make it quick. The oldest trick in the book is to look out for the fresh squid stains. Luckily I had a few jigs in my bag, so I thought I'd just target them. I was basically casting out as far as I could on the light rod, with the wind assisting, then giving it some violent flicks and letting it sink down to the bottom. I would have about 3 or 4 casts, then keep on moving down to the next fresh ink stain. I was having a little bit of trouble getting the jig in the target area, just because it wasn't a heavily weighted jig and I was up pretty high with the current flowing past pretty quick. Also, the further the jetty went out, the deeper it got. After snagging my good fluoro squid jig on light line, I changed things up and put on a heavier squid jig and put it on my 3000 reel with my 8-foot rod, just so I could get further casting distance. I had 14-pound braid as well, so if it got stuck in the weed I could rip it out. Just got to make sure I've got a light drag. As usual, you hit it on the sink after a flick. Just reeling in nice and steady, letting it take line if it needs to. There's not much hooking them with their tentacles, so you just got to take it nice and slow so you don't pull out the jig. As it gets closer, I'll tighten up the drag just so I can hoist it over the jetty. And with one call from the missus, it's all over.
How you going? Yeah, good. Yeah, can you grab some butter, maybe some salt and pepper? I think maybe like cheap salt and pepper, just put it in my squid. Yeah, that's it. Maybe, yeah, just some butter, and then maybe a little bit of like a mayonnaise or something like that so we can have squid.
Always got to get a last cast in.
We'll probably get that when we'll get that when we're like Dunsborough. Yeah. Oh, sweet. Yeah.
I'm away on holidays, so I basically have no ingredients, but that's probably the best way to cook squid anyway. I'll just score it up, put on a little bit of salt and pepper, and cook it in butter. Cook on the scored side down for about 20 to 30 seconds. Once you've turned the squid, count for another 20 seconds and they're ready to eat. It stays nice and tender if you cook it under a minute. A few crispy tentacles always go down well too. For more Perth Metro based fishing, please subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments section as well.